We've got a great workshop for you guys today. I'm super stoked. Got a couple guys that I've known for a decade. I think you've known them for over a decade too. It's kind of a family reunion, a little bit of sorts.
That'll be good.
Yeah, so it's kind of full circle. We've all known each other. We've run into each other at note conferences. And now we're all kind of working together, me and Aaron at least. And we're going to talk a little bit about investing with self-directed IRAs and the different ways that you can invest in notes. Why would you want to invest in notes? How does investing in notes work? Last week, if you were on the program, we talked about private lending. That's also a way to invest in notes. But today, we're going to talk more about buying existing notes and how that works. It's a little different of a game, but it's still a note investment.
So we do have a couple of events this year. So go ahead and put these on your calendar. We do have one of the websites up right now, but it's our annual Self-Directed IRA Summit. That'll be in Dallas, Texas, April 19 and 20. Just go to sdirasummit.com. Again, sdirasummit.com. We have some good pricing up there. Don't want to miss that out. You can do virtual, but we love to see you there in person. It'd be awesome. I'll be, just a couple hundred of your closest friends there hanging out together. So that'll be good. And then we also have our Alt Asset Summit. That'll be October 24 through 26. You can go to altassetsummit.com, see last year's event that we did. You can purchase the recording still for that. But again, that'll be October 24 through 26, altassetsummit.com, and that'll be here in our backyard in Phoenix, Arizona.
And there's a reason you want to be at both of those events. I would say the Self-Directed IRA Summit coming up in Dallas, that's a really good event, especially if you're just learning about self-directed IRAs. There's a lot of information out there, and it can get a little confusing sometimes. But we do this one-day event. It's taught by our CEO, Matt Sorensen, who wrote the best-selling book about self-directed IRAs. So if you really want to kind of get a full-day experience about all the things you can do with self-directed IRAs, that is the best event that you can attend. And
Absolutely.
Even if you're experienced, it's a great event to come to because you can network with other like-minded investors. So definitely register for that. And then obviously the Alt Asset Summit coming up, that's going to be a big one here in Phoenix. That really is one where we have a lot of investors talk about strategies. We got some guest speakers. So that's a great event also to network and learn a little bit about alternative investments.
And if you just need to like Netflix and chill at home and do the virtual option, more power to you.
Yeah, more power to you.
But we'll miss you.
Yeah, the networking is key. So, all right, so let's just jump into it. I'm going to share some slides real briefly about who Directed IRA is, why we're talking about retirement accounts, why we're talking about retirement accounts differently than a Fidelity and Charles Schwab talk about retirement accounts, and talk a little bit about note investing when we bring in Desi and Patrick Franz. So who is Directed IRA? First, we're a licensed custodian of retirement accounts. Similar to a Fidelity, similar to a Charles Schwab. The only difference is with those companies, those are licensed securities brokers, and when you have an account with them, they're usually selling you investments. And those investments are the ones everybody knows about: stocks, bonds, mutual funds, and those types of what we call traditional investments. At Directed IRA, we have no investments to sell you. This is why we call it a self-directed IRA. Self-directed is just a marketing term, but what the accounts let you do at Directed IRA is invest in all the things outside of the public markets. Invest in alternative assets, things like real estate, notes, which we'll talk a lot about today, private equity, private stocks, startup companies, the list goes on and on. There's so many things you can invest in with an IRA, but if you want to invest outside of Wall Street, you have to have an account with a company like Directed IRA. But we don't give you tax, legal, or investment advice. This is all for education purposes only. When we have these workshops, it's just to give you a better idea of what types of alternative investments are out there, how you can own them in a retirement account or a self-directed account. But we can't give you tell you what you should invest in. That's completely up to you with a self-directed account.
And if you want to see what our clients have to say, just go Google us and you can see our, almost 600 plus now 5-star Google reviews. You can hear what the clients have to say to us. Like anything goes. People are sharing their feedback, but it's pretty awesome. We got a bunch of them.
Yeah. So when we talk about alternative investments, realize alternative investments is just anything outside of traditional investments, which are listed on the left. Your retirement account legally can own anything you could hold title to, drop a contract to buy, except life insurance contracts and collectibles. So that leaves a lot of investments out there on the table. Most of our clients, I would say, have IRAs with Fidelity and they have IRAs with Directed IRA, because that's how you can really diversify your retirement portfolios, by looking at traditional investments and alternative investments. So why are notes and loans so attractive outside but also inside a retirement account? I talked a little bit about this on the last workshop. With note investing outside of your IRA, a lot of times you got to pay taxes on that income, and there's no real way to use depreciation and those types of things that you usually get with real estate. But notes inside of an IRA or inside of a 401k, the income is completely tax-free. And it's a good passive way to invest your retirement funds where you don't have to deal with toilets and tenants. There's still a little work involved and you got to do some due diligence. But as far as owning a note inside of a retirement account, it's passive, it's pretty predictable, which a lot of people like. There's not many investments in your retirement account that you can actually predict what you're going to make. And we're going to talk a little bit about how you find them, though. I think that's where people get hung up. They're like, I like notes, it sounds great. Where do I go find them? So I want to bring in Desi and Patrick Franz. They've been note investing for decades, including Aaron Halderman. That's why you got all of us on here. And we're going to talk a little bit about what note investing is, and they're going to give you some actually real stories that are great about how some of their people have invested their retirement accounts in notes. So,
yeah, I think it'll be great. So here's, I'm a big believer in, kind of trial by fire, little trial and error. I love networking with other people and learning from them and being able to join some sort of group of people that are actually in the trenches doing deals. That's much how I like to learn, using a little bit of my own money to start and then joining, a group. That's why there's a lot of people that go into syndications. And I know, I think Desi and Patrick, they have a PPM, I think Everly May Fund is the one they're running it out of. At least those are the investments, IRA investors that I see going into it over here at Directed IRA. And it's a nice thing because you kind of you're learning through their experience in that lens, and you don't, necessarily have everything that you're having to do siloed off or by yourself exactly all the time. So that's why, these syndications have become more and more popular for people, kind of as like a starter point before you maybe, they sell you one directly and then you want to, self-service it and manage it yourself. But notes are awesome because you're not dealing with, like Nate was saying, toilets, tenants, trash. You step in, you're the bank, you're the actual lender on it now. You're just monitoring property taxes and making sure that they're, of course, paying you, which is, that monthly ACH that you're getting into your bank account. And so
mailbox money.
Yeah, there you go. So that was our experience. And so, Desi has his, background of decades plus in the real estate space. Patrick as well on the mortgage side, coming together, sharing their experiences and what you can use with the self-directed IRA or solo 401k or your personal funds. It's not just limited to that. And so it just depends on what works best for you and your situation. And of course, we do love, using an IRA or an HSA, an ESA, or a solo 401k, because you get all the same tax benefits as if you were in the stock market, at Schwab or Fidelity with your IRA over there. But you can go into these private companies or this private syndication that's investing in notes. So it's awesome.
And
you get to do what you want.
There's a big network. If you didn't know, there's a big network of note investors, like there's a network of real estate investors. There's conferences. There's masterminds, which Desi and Patrick put on a mastermind. If you're interested to learn more, they'll talk about that. So let's bring on Desi Arnaz and Patrick Franz. You guys there?
Welcome, fellas.
Welcome.
Gentlemen. Hi, guys. I'm Desi Arnaz. Just to clear the air here, that's that good-looking guy there with the beard. That's my partner, Patrick Franz.
Yeah, look at that, and that beautiful jacket and a beautiful hat, memorable. You can't miss you two coming.
Brings up pretty good.
It's awesome.
So why don't you guys tell the audience a little bit about who you are, what you guys do, how you got into note investing maybe, and then just kick it off. And you've got some slides that you want to share.
Want me to start that, Patrick?
I'm gonna let you lead, boss, and
all right.
I'll be right behind you.
Boss man.
All right, very good. Very good. So guys, here basically for me, my story kind of started with notes in about a little more than a decade ago, 2013. So now that's 11 years ago. That's when I actually found out about notes. I was coming from out of a tailspin after the last recession, right? My tailspin, and I discovered note investing, and it just literally has opened up avenues for me that I did not know existed. Prior to that, I had been for more than 30 years a landlord, a property flipper, and I owned a Century 21 franchise and a couple of different mortgage companies too. And so I was all in real estate, as Aaron said. I was all about real estate. And I thought that that's the best way to invest for my future. But I was wrong. And I never really liked it. I should say that. I say that right up front. I never really liked being a landlord. If you guys can relate to that, I did it though because that's all I knew. And when I saw notes in 2013, I immediately knew in my gut, I said, this is actually what I've been looking for. A way to get cash flow from real estate without owning the real estate. And if you think about it, what happens in a mortgaged rental property, there are two streams of income that come from that property. One is called rent and the other is called interest, right? The landlord gets the rent and the bank gets the interest. So what I've done by investing in notes and what I've helped others to do and what Patrick does as well is we just put on the bank's hat, right? We took off the landlord hat, put on the bank's hat, and we were able to collect interest and we'll let someone else deal with the tenants and the toilets and the leaky roofs and all the other stuff. And for me, it's been a game changer. It's given me so much freedom. I think Nate called it mailbox money a few minutes ago. It's given me a peace of mind that I never had as a traditional real estate investor. And by the way, I invested my IRA in stocks and things too. This has just given me so much more peace and so much more freedom. And now I'm an evangelist. I go out and I try to tell as many people as possible, you seriously need to look at this. If it's a fit for you, then dip your toe in, right? Maybe buy a small note or invest in some sort of a fund that invests in notes. But it is a way to get things going. So for me, it's been a game changer. It's changed my life. It's changed the life of my family members and my friends that have taken the plunge into the note space, and it got me a chance to meet people like these two wonderful guys, Aaron and Nate.
Desi, do you have to, if you get into notes, do you have to get a banker's hat like you have? Is that
I should get the fedora? That's a part of it, right?
that goes with it. So everybody take notes if you're going to put on the banker's hat. Okay.
Desi, you said something. I also have some stocks and traditional investments, and I've got my note investments, and my note investments give me so much peace of mind. I don't even really have to look at it. I just make sure borrowers are making payments. I feel like I'm focused more on my stocks because I'm always worried that I'm losing money at that second because it's not predictable. So I have a very small amount in that, but most of my investments in my retirement accounts is definitely on notes because it's predictable. It's safe and secure if you've got it secured by real estate. So talk a little bit about that too and how you guys even find these notes.
Okay, sure. Well, Patrick, why don't you share how we find notes and where we go from there? Share your story a little bit too, because your background's pretty interesting.
Yeah, can you hear me okay? Wonderful.
Yes.
Yeah. Of course, I tried everything. I was one of those guys that was always the young hustler. I tried to do everything from network marketing to becoming an inventor and getting patents in my name and launching startups and trying to sell venture capital with the big boys. I just tried everything, but it was always just a struggle and a kind of a dead end thing because as I realized moving forward, it was just none of it was going to create any passive cash flow.
Right.
That was the key, right? You could wholesale, you could flip, you could sell big contracts and make big commissions, and you could come up, but eventually you're going to earn that money, and then you're back to the hustle to try to do another deal again. And so, matter of fact, why Desi and I are together on this show with you guys is because when I met Desi told me he would mentor me in notes and teach me how I could do something in which you do the work up front one time and get paid over and over and over and over without having to spend more time. It's all about the passive cash flow to set people free. It's all about like you said, Nate, a consistent stream of steady cash flow into somebody's IRA that can help them retire early. And playing that long game and being patient and smart about it is maybe what I needed to learn. And when I did, Desi took me on as his first student. I became a mentor of Desi and we became partners since then. And notes have changed my life just like it has changed many others, just like Desi and others before us, because what it really is a secure way to create monthly cash flow with a better than average yield. Doesn't require too much time or management. You get rid of the headaches so where you can do what you enjoy in life, like Nate. He enjoys worrying about his stocks all day long. So he can spend time doing that while his notes are producing consistent cash flow. But I digress. But I went through all the trials and tribulations like everybody else. I was always searching for financial freedom. I was always in the hustle. I didn't fail because of lack of trying or lack of effort. Right. Trust me. I failed because I was playing really, really good. I was crushing it at the wrong game. I was on the wrong playing field. I didn't understand how to create true passive cash flow and time freedom. So that's why we like notes.
Yeah, that's why we love them.
And here's the other thing with what you guys are doing, and I heard you guys talk about this on your mastermind that you guys invited me to. Note investing is one of those things where you're also helping an end borrower, because you guys are doing notes a little bit differently. You're buying them from either a bank or from somebody that doesn't want to deal with the note anymore. And a lot of times you guys are maybe solving some problems for that borrower. So it's not even all about the money, which is great. It's passive, it's secure, but you're also helping borrowers stay in homes sometimes. So it's a conscious investment, and it feels good at the end of the day, at least for me, when my money's doing something that is helping somebody else either buy a home or stay in a home.
Well, we've got a case study that Patrick is going to share with you guys that it really does highlight and emphasize how we can help people. Just one of the ways to help people. There's so many ways that you can help people in this space. But we have a powerful case study that really is very demonstrative of how it works. But before we get into that, I'd like to show a case study to help people understand why note investing is such a secure way to invest. If you don't mind, I can run. If I can share my screen, I can just run through that.
Yeah,
go for it.
Go right ahead.
Good.
And forgive us if we go through our presentations quickly, because we're a little pressed for time on our presentations, but we'll try to run through them quickly and not to go so fast to confuse folks.
We want to give you the real deal, Holyfield.
Yep.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. The real deal, baby. So if you can see my screen right here, I'm going to start with a kind of a case study to give you guys a feel for why this is such a great way to invest. First thing I'm going to say is I don't want you guys to overthink what notes are. A note is simply a promise to pay, an IOU. That's all a note is. It's reduced to writing. Hopefully you guys can see my screen right now.
We're good.
Are we there, Pat?
We're good.
Yes.
Okay, good. Yeah, so it's just, if you have a promise to pay and you reduce it to writing, we call that a promissory note. Now, the types of promissory notes that we invest in are secured by real property. And a mortgage document is the document that provides that security. So whenever you've purchased a home and you've gone to the closing, they have you sign a whole bunch of documents, but really only two of them really matter. Now, that's a promissory note where you promise to pay, and the mortgage document that says, if I don't pay you, you can take my house. And that's why we like these mortgage notes. It gives us repossession power if we need to go that route. But as Aaron just pointed out, I think it was Aaron who said that, it's nice to be able to help people keep their homes too. So repossession is our last effort. Just so you guys understand this too, this is not anything new. It may be new to you. It was certainly new to me in 2013, but it's been around since 1938 when Congress approved the creation of Fannie Mae. You've all heard of Fannie Mae, right? Fannie Mae's role and responsibility was to create a marketplace where mortgages could be bought and sold just like the stock market, right? But not stocks. Instead, they're mortgages. It's called the secondary mortgage market. And if you've ever had a mortgage on a piece of real estate and you received a letter like this one that says, hey, we have transferred your loan to another lender, so moving forward, please pay that new lender. That's what we're talking about here. I didn't know I could do that back in prior to 2013. I didn't realize I could buy someone's mortgage. I could buy your mortgage. You could buy my mortgage. Isn't that kind of a weird thing to think about? But it is doable. You just have to understand how it works. But here's why you're going to want to invest in mortgage notes. There's several key benefits that I believe exist, and I'm just going to share them with you by sharing a quick case study here. This is a mortgage note that I own on a little house in Missouri. The property value of that house is $180,000. The loan balance is $127,000 when I bought the note. That's what they owed to the bank. Their interest rate was 8%. They had 15 years left to pay on their mortgage, and the payment was $1,250 a month. But here's the cool thing. when the bank offered this mortgage note for sale, even though they were owed $127,000, they offered the note for $104,000. I know. Now, that was the first thing that really captured my attention. It's like, wait a minute. Why would they do that? First of all, I didn't get that part. I get it now. And I'll just say briefly, that's just how this game is played. Notes are sold at a discount. That's what that's called. I didn't invent it. Fannie Mae did. So that's how it's done. So they sell them at a discount. So I was able to pick this up for $104,000, which means that I have instant equity in that asset. Think about that for a minute. You know, when you buy a piece of real estate, the only equity you have in that real estate is your down payment, right? The difference between what you owe on it, on your mortgage, and then what you paid for it is your down payment or the cash infusion that you put into it. Here, if these people were to sell that house 1 month later, after I bought the note, they owe me 127, not 104. So that's the first thing I want to keep you guys to keep that in mind. Plus, I've got more than $4,000 invested, but I'm collecting interest on $127,000, which is earning at 8%. My $104,000 is actually yielding me 11.5. And to me, that's a pretty good investment to earn 11.5. Okay. Now, here's the thing that really captivated me when I first looked at mortgage notes, because I think it was Nate who said several times on here, you know what you're going to earn, right? You know what your earnings are going to be. Check this out. This will blow your mind. When you own a mortgage note, there's only three things that will happen. One of these three things will happen. The homeowner is going to pay their mortgage like they're supposed to. Maybe they'll pay it off early because sometimes people sell their homes or they refinance their home. They pay off the mortgages before the term, right? Or maybe they fail to pay. So then the question becomes, if you own a note, and in each of these three scenarios, how will you fare? Let me just run through that for you. In outcome number one, if they pay as they're supposed to, and here's how you will fare. You're going to collect, on this particular one here, I will collect $1,215 a month for 15 years, which is 180 months. My retirement account, if I had invested 104 from my retirement account into this, my retirement account would grow to $218,728 from this investment without me adding another nickel of my own money. That's pretty sweet, okay? That's that 11.5% that I talked about per year for every year you're in this transaction. That's a pretty sweet investment.
And it's secured.
And you don't have to log in online or CNBC to see what you're going to get that. You know exactly what you're getting.
Good point, right? You don't have to worry about it. They're just making their mortgage payments. And by the way, I should point this out. Most people pay their mortgage, okay? Right. Even during the last recession, 75% of people in this country pay their mortgage. 3 or 4 people paid their mortgage. You know,
some people might be wondering, well, why would a bank sell a performing note that someone's paying? Sometimes they just have to. I've worked at banks, and sometimes you have to free up cash by selling off some notes to other people that want to take it off your hands so you can have some cash to go put it back on the street. So there's a lot of different reasons banks will sell good mortgages, and sometimes they're just forced to.
Yes. And you know that it happens because you probably pay your mortgage every month like I do, and my mortgage gets sold, you know, so it happens. But now we're showing people how to be on that side of the table. Now
I'll give you a golden nugget as you're queuing up this third outcome. The banks oftentimes use a third-party loan servicer. So a great tool and resource you can do is look up mortgage loan servicers on LinkedIn, and they will have that in their title as far as like what department they're in. A lot of times it's either in, you know, transactions or processing or loss mitigation, and you can make some really good connections through LinkedIn, building, you know, some rapport with people and, you know, building that interest list. But it's a third-party loan servicer, so like, you know, Wells Fargo doesn't always just use, you know, Wells Fargo loan servicing. They could use a third party that you've never heard of. But if you do some searches in LinkedIn, you can find the mortgage servicing providers and make some good connections there. So when you're trying to like, well, where do I find notes, or like, where is it? Well, you can work with people like, you know, Desi and Patrick that are running their their own fund. If you're going to go do it yourself, then you have to get a little bit more creative and do a little grassroots searching and networking and going to your local real estate investment club as well. So just a little golden nugget there for you.
Those great nuggets there. And wait, we do sell notes as well too. You know, we'll sell notes from our portfolio because we, just like banks, we want to free up some cash from time to time. So we're a source as well. So possible outcome number 2, right? We already know possible outcome number 1 is a good return of 11.5 in this particular example. However, we also know that most people don't stay in their homes for 30 years, or they don't, at least they don't keep the same mortgage for 30 years. You know, we know that. They either sell the property or they refinance. So in this particular scenario, if these folks 5 years later were to sell this property, let me show you what will happen here. Let's say 5 years after I purchased the note, they decide they want a bigger house. So they put their property up for sale. At the time that I purchased this note, the balance owed was 127. However, they've been making payments for 5 years, so they only owe 100 now, right? They paid it down some. We know how that works. So here's my numbers as an investor if I own this note. I've already collected 60 payments for 5 years of, so I've already collected $72,900. But they still owe me $100,000. Think about that for a second. So over a 5-year period, I will collect a total of $173,000 on a $104,000 investment. You stick that into a financial calculator and you're going to determine real quick that I made $69,000 in profit in 5 years on my 104 and that I've earned an annualized return of 13.5.
And now you see why banks are in the business to loan and not own. This is why banks like being banks.
That's exactly why the banks don't want to flip houses. It's like they make better returns than we do, by the way. You know, so they can make these excellent returns just moving papers around. But here's the thing that worries most people when I talk to them about investing in mortgage notes, guys. They say, well, what happens if these people don't pay the mortgage? You know, how does that actually work? So let's just say in the same scenario, 5 years later, they don't sell the house, 5 years, maybe get a divorce or something. And the person who keeps the house can't really afford it. So they stop making payments. That's called a loan default. So let's just assume these people go into default after 5 years. So again, I've already collected 5 years of payments before they went into default. So I've already collected $72,900 and now they're in default. So when you go into default on a mortgage note, since it's secured by a mortgage, right? It's secured by a mortgage against the real estate, you can foreclose on that property if you choose to. Now you have other options, but I just want to keep this short and say, look, let's say you have to foreclose. You have to go that route. Here's how that would work. Once you close on property, say a year most states, it costs $3,000-4,000 in most states to do that. And an attorney handles it. So there's no work for us other than to write a check. Here's what happens. At the end of the foreclosure process, I will receive the deed to this property and immediately I will put it up for sale because I don't want to be a landlord anymore. I did that for 33 years. So just say that I put this property up for sale at $180,000 because remember when I bought the note, it was valued at $180. The property was valued at $180. Now this is 5 years later. It's possible it's worth more. Could be worth less. I don't have a crystal ball, so let's just say it's still worth $180. Here's how it would work out for me as the note investor. I'll get $180,000 in sales proceeds from the sale of the property. I've already collected $72,900 in payments before they went into default, but I have to pay my realtor and I have to pay my lawyer, right, to handle things for me. So I'm subtracting $14,000 from the numbers, and I will pocket $238,900 in about 6 years, right, from $104,000 investment that I made inside my retirement account, which puts me a clear profit of $134,900. That's after all the dust settles. That works out to be a 17.6% return per year for every year that I'm in that transaction, guys. This is why this is such a powerful investment strategy.
And wouldn't it be nice if your stocks went down in value, you got a house in exchange? So this is why note investing allows people to sleep at night, because if things go wrong, your money is tied to real property. And with real property, you have multiple exit strategies, keep it as a rental, sell it. There's so many different ways you can do it, but this is why note investing is so attractive. It's a little bit of work, more than stocks, but it's a lot more secure.
Well, it's only work for a period of time. I guess more than stocks in that sense.
More work than just pushing a button and buying. So a little more work, but a lot more secure.
Pushing a button and buying, but then you are losing sleep. That's work.
Right.
You're stressing. That's work. To me,
is.
this is way more peaceful. I've never felt so much peace in my life. And just like Patrick said earlier, right? He's always run his own businesses and hustled and done a lot of things too. Boy, now he plays a lot of golf.
We all know that.
Let me just jump in here, guys, too, because for the audience members, look, we're talking about individual retirement accounts here, right? There's a real reason that I know very well from being in close touch with this, that there's a reason why a lot of people that are financial professionals take normal individuals who have individual retirement accounts that they've worked so hard for the years and say, no, don't self-direct that thing. Why would somebody say that? Because we're understanding that, guys, mistakes can be made. Financial intelligence is what we need to have. If you're going to be a pro at something, you're going to take your individual retirement account money, your retirement money, and you're going to self-direct it. So now it's in charge of you, what you want to do with it. And you're going to go invest it in things. Well, financial professionals don't like recommending that because they know a lot of people will be silly with those investment decisions, completely squander their retirement. And that's not good for anybody, right? So I was in the high risk, high reward world of startup technology companies way back when in early 2000s. And we were raising funds through interest in retirement money. They were very high risk, high reward, startup technology companies. And I was seeing good people lose their individual retirement account funds, betting on something. That's what we don't want to do. So that's why we love preaching, Desi and I, about these secured notes, promissory notes that's you're buying a debt stream, payment income stream, debt. The debt is someone's mortgage payment on the house they live in. That's a pretty secure debt, right? So you have the house as collateral, and Desi's explained the possible 3 outcomes. It's like this, guys. If you were to buy one of these notes, they're either going to pay you as agreed, and eventually their house will be paid off. That's really good for you. If they pay off early by selling or refining, it's good for you. If they don't pay and you foreclose on the real estate, it's good for you. Okay. Yeah. So it's a really good thing, right? And that's why we recommend it. It's like, if you're going to self-direct an IRA, this is a really cool place to put the money because it's secure and it spits off good, steady yield and so forth. And you have collateral. So you understand that, right? But look, answer the question for you, Nate, because I know you were alluding to it, or Aaron, is that banks and hedge funds sell these notes. It's just difficult to get past the gatekeeper, and you don't normally buy one note from a bank or hedge fund. You normally have to have tons of money to buy a lot of on platforms like Notes Direct and Paper Stack, to throw some nuggets for some homies, right? But these are online platforms where you can go buy notes these days. Real estate investors. There are real estate investors, especially now that it's harder to qualify with commercial banks and interest rates are going up. There's real estate investors that use seller carryback financing as an exit strategy out of real estate, and they sell those notes, right, guys? There's good note brokers, there's meetups, there's national note events, there's funds, hedge funds like Desi and I run. And so there's plenty. Here's the point. There's plenty of places out there, you guys, where you can go and find a mortgage note like we're discussing to buy for your IRA. But back to my original point, here's what we recommend. And okay, is that, if you don't get the education that's necessary to become an expert at a category of investing, I suggest you don't solely invest your money into that investment category. You may be making an unwise decision because you don't have the expertise or the experience to be doing so. And you may actually do something bad with your IRA money. That's what, if you do what Desi and I have done, go to something like No Investor University or one of the schools out there. If you do that, then you can become an expert at it, and then you can play your own game and self-direct your own money and have fun with it. And we recommend doing that. But if you don't have the time, if you're running your dental practice or, whatever it is you're doing, you don't have time to become an expert note investor like Desi and I do full time for a living. You're looking for a good, safe way to invest your IRA money. Maybe look into utilizing professionals like Desi or I or others in the industry by putting your money into a fund where they invest in notes. So you understand notes, you understand the security, the cash flow, the great stuff, but you don't want to do all the work and become the expert. You can invest into somebody else's fund, and then you're trusting the fund's management team and the people running the fund, and that they're going to be good steward of your funds and make you that steady return, right? You can lend money to a note investor, Desi, right? We can do all these different things. So there's ways that you guys can partner with experts out of your IRA as well in the note investing space without having to take on all the education, all the risk. Now, if you did want to, we suggest becoming us if you want to, but get the education is what I'm saying, and or work with somebody that has the education experience if you're using retirement funds.
On the theme of bringing this full circle on that outcome number 3, an area of expertise, in the event that you do have to foreclose and take the property back itself, because you were the lender, the bank on it. Jason asks a good question that I think would be good for all of us to learn about. So if the house goes, up for auction or resale because they defaulted, the question is, doesn't the investor only get his note balance plus fees, and anything over that, doesn't that go back to the homeowner that lost their house?
During the foreclosure process, what's going to happen is there will be an auction. As a matter of fact, I will be, as the lender, hosting the auction. I shouldn't say hosting, but I will be the person putting the property up for auction. That comes through me. I'm the lender. And yes, my opening bid will be the amount of money owed to me. But not just the 104 in this example, the 127 is what the opening bid would be, plus any legal fees, plus any late charges and anything else like that. And so in that scenario, if that property sells at auction, I think you said his name was Jason.
Yeah.
If that property sells at auction, Jason, then I'll get that money. And that works out basically to be the same outcome as outcome number 2 for me. Remember early payoff? That's the way that works out to be financially. And so it's still a very secure investment for me. It's only like a grand slam home run there if I get that property back. And that happens as well. I should also point this out. It's not unusual. I was surprised by this. How many people don't want a foreclosure on their credit and will literally just give me the real estate?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
They will literally give it to me. They say, I don't want the foreclosure. I got a commercial building down in Florida that way. I paid $160,000 for the note. They gave me the building and I sold it for $350,000.
So in the event that it goes over that 127 after you've got fees and everything else, let's say it goes for 140, who's getting that 13 grand?
I would go to the previous homeowner that lost the property. That's their equity.
There you go. That answers your question, Jason. Good question.
So let's talk a little about, because we got a few minutes left here. Let's talk about where somebody can go to get more resources about how to get started. This 1-hour workshop is not enough to learn and master notes. A lot of you guys might be just hearing this for the first time and be thinking, oh, I need to look more into this. So there's a lot of different resources and how to get started. If you want to get started with a self-directed IRA, that process is really simple. Contact us at Directed IRA, open an account online. If you're interested in moving some money over, you just transfer some money from your Fidelity account or your Charles Schwab account. So step 1 and 2 is just get an account open and get it funded. The big hurdle is, what are you going to invest in? And that's why we want to bring in some resources like Desi and Patrick, not to tell you guys what you should or you should invest in, but just tell you there's a whole big arena of alternative investments and people that are knowledgeable about it. The beautiful thing about self-directed IRAs is you get involved with the community of investors that you can lean on. So don't try to learn everything and master everything here. We want to bring people like Patrick and Desi on so you know where to go to learn more. So talk a little bit about that. You guys have a mastermind coming up as well, I think.
Yeah, get educated, do your own due diligence, shop around, see what how you feel about it. You don't have to do business with everyone, but yeah, take it away.
Go ahead, Patrick. Let's talk about a little bit about what we do to help people kind of get into the space.
Yeah, I mean, we a while back we were just kind of avoiding actually doing coaching, guys. It's
Yeah.
once you get into notes and you realize you can have a passive lifestyle, uh, you're not you don't want to create more jobs for yourself, as I've done my whole life as an entrepreneur. But by natural request, we had a lot of people see us moving up in this space and saying, hey guys, would you teach us this, or can I somehow get my IRA money invested into some notes with you guys? And it starts to get attractive to people, and it takes some learning. There's some education there. And so we did decide, instead of course, telling the same exact message over and over again to 1,000 people, it's better to, probably put it in video, tell them to watch the video, right? So that's how it spawned, guys. And we created Note Investor University. And how it began was we started doing a Saturday mastermind group. That's how it began. We've been doing that for over 4 years now. So every Saturday from 8:30 to 10 a.m. Pacific time, we meet to get educated, motivated, stay in touch, and add people from the industry like Directed IRA to our Rolodexes as note investors for service providers and people we need. So it's like, I think, the number one now mastermind call in the note investing industry. We have 50, 60 like-minded investors on there every Saturday. And that's how it all started. And we still do that, right? Every Saturday. And then we have other deeper coaching programs for people that want to become deeper experts themselves at this business. And then we also have the fund for people that don't want to become the expert and they want to maybe invest into a fund that can produce them a steady return and so forth. So we kind of try to have a place for everybody, guys. The places for beginners, where we can jump in on Saturday mastermind calls, places for intermediates. They want to learn how to buy a bunch of notes and manage them themselves, maybe invest their IRA money, that kind of thing. And then we also have a program for experts, people that want to become note investors full-time or replace their income, quit their job, break the golden handcuffs, all those things, and use notes as the vehicle to do that. We just try to have a spot for everybody if we can.
And do you guys have a little special for anybody that wants to join that? I think you guys were inviting some people to participate in that for free on your next one. Is that right?
Yeah,
right?
for our, we would like to invite anyone that would like to see behind the curtain, so to speak, to join our Saturday mastermind. It's a private mastermind session that we hold, as Patrick said, every Saturday. And these are all students of ours and investors. They're real investors. They're not just wannabes. But if someone would like to become a guest, to be a guest and just kind of sit like a fly on the wall and watch what's going on, or even participate if they want, we would like to send them a guest invitation.
That's amazing. And you guys will do you guys have that information, or we'll send it out to people? How do you want them to take that opportunity?
The very best way to get on our guest list would be, frankly, to text me their email address so that I can add them to the guest list if people are open to that.
I'm sure they would. Yeah. I mean, I put your number in there, and I'll just tell you, I've been on their masterminds, and it's great conversation just to be a fly on the wall. Again, you're going to learn a lot. You're going to also get their resources that they use to kind of do what they do in the note space. So they even bring on people like us at Directed IRA to talk about how you can invest in notes with a self-directed IRA. So they're very willing to share, based on their experience. And I think that's the best way to get started. You don't have to do coaching necessarily, but you do want to find out and lean on people who have done it before, so you don't make the same mistakes that maybe they have already made, or they can teach you to stay out of.
Yeah. So I can put my phone number into the chat, and I'll say it too, if that's okay with
Yeah, go for it.
Desi, and that's DESI. And my phone number is 951-551-0087.
And I've put it in the chat for you guys.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, put it in the chat for everybody. It's in the chat again for the recording, right? Desi Arnaz, 951-551-0087. Anybody who wants to come on to our Saturday Mastermind call for free and check out what we do every Saturday, just feel free to give them a text. That way we can put your name and your email address. Make sure you text your name and your email address, and we'll put those into our system that it'll send you a guest invitation.
Right.
It will be this Saturday or the following Saturday, the next 2 Saturdays coming up. And
yeah, they'll have a good time.
We'd love to see you there, 8:30 to 10 a.m. Yeah.
They'll have a good time. I'm always surprised. I was surprised to find so many people that show up on Saturdays. I'm thinking, don't you guys have other things to do?
They're just like they're multitasking, like they do podcasts nowadays. They got their AirPods or their headphones in, and they're like cooking. They're making waffles for their kids. I may have done that one time when y'all had me on as a guest. I think I was doing waffles and doing one of
Making waffles.
So it's all good. I did have a question before we bring this home. So Jean asked, what would be the advantages of a private note over a private REIT as a passive real estate investor? And I think, Jean, probably just to clarify, when you say private note, it would be like a private note syndication. You can also have a private note as an IRA investor or a solo investor, but then you would be contracting with a third-party loan servicer to monitor that, collect payments, and ACH you the info, and you most certainly can do that, but that wouldn't be completely passive. So there's private note syndications, and there's private REITs. It just, they're both really different. Most REITs are in commercial, multifamily types of investments, whereas a lot of the note syndications are in single family or 2 to 4 unit investments. So it's just a matter of like what you're comfortable with, looking at the operators behind those syndications and doing your due diligence with them and their track record, and what kind of, do they have a preferred return? Is it distributed monthly, quarterly, annually? Is there a profit share on the back end when there's a future liquidation exit? So it just kind of depends. We've had some private REITs on previous episodes as well, and it's just invest in what like with your retirement accounts, IRA, solo 401k, and that's the cool thing about it. If you don't, or if you're wanting to learn, great. Syndication could be a good way to learn something new, and you'll get the financials and how they're operating and what kind of assets they're going into. That's why we love what we do. So, and while we have on special guests like Desi and Patrick, and to educate y'all, look at a case study on those are the very kind of assets that they're doing. It's like these single family singles, if you will, not hitting any home runs, acquiring 2 to 4 units, and that's where it's at.
I love the baseball reference.
We had the time to tee up my case study. We ran out of time, but I wish I had time to tee up my case study.
We could.
There are home runs, guys.
Well, are you guys willing to share the slides? We do send out the slides and the recording to all the people that registered. So if you had to log off, or
we can keep rolling.
We can send that, or you want to.
Let's keep it going.
And if you want to, Des, while you're teeing that up, if you want to address this question, I know Jim Polina in the chat, he said, how do you protect the equity in the house when there's a large insurance loss? The homeowner may not spend the insurance check to repair the damages.
Oh, good question. We had that experience about 2 years ago, Patrick. One of our assets did catch fire. But what happens is this: when we buy a mortgage note, one of the very first things we do is we get listed on the insurance policy as a loss payee, meaning as the lender, we get paid first before the homeowner gets their hands on any of that insurance money. And so when we had a loss, we were paid off completely. They knew how much we owed, how much was owed, right? So we got paid off completely, including collecting the discount that we had in that particular asset. So we got all of our profit and everything. Then at that point, our loan was paid in full. So we literally just turned the house and the burned down property over to the homeowner and said, here, it's yours. Your insurance company has paid us in full, so you no longer have a mortgage. So now these folks own that property. They own the land, they own the burned down house, but we're out. That's as simple as it got for us. Make sense? Pretty easy.
Yeah, it makes sense to me. I mean, I'm all, I love it, guys. I mean, this is good stuff, and I will tell you, it's good to be a fly on the wall in their masterminds because they go over real deals. And I like that, Patrick. You shared a story about helping a homeowner even one time, and I just want to circle back on that. Is, guys, this isn't, when you invest in alternatives, there's other people involved in that investment. Very different than investing, in a stock or a mutual fund, which is, to me, it's kind of a nameless, faceless investment. But hey, I'm not criticizing it. I'm just saying it's a different feeling when you get into real estate or note investing with a retirement account, because you see what's helping on the other side of the transaction a lot of times. Sometimes you got to deal with problems, sure, but I just want to remind people this is safe, it's secure, it's predictable, and you can learn more about it from people like Desi and Patrick. So I mean, you guys, loved having you guys on. You guys are a great wealth of knowledge. I've learned a lot from you guys. As a reminder, you can also follow, I know, Desi on YouTube. I've watched a lot of your YouTube videos as well, Desi. So you guys want to just kind of wrap it up and tell people, again, how they can get some resources and where they go from here.
Yeah, well, the very best way to reach out to us is my phone number there, Patrick's phone number. You could also just head over to our university, right? Noteinvestoruniversity.com, noteinvestoruniversity.com. And there you can get on our calendars. There are links there to do that. You can also learn more about note investing there. And what else? Patrick, did you want to put your phone number out there too, Patrick, for anyone that might want to contact you?
Yeah, that's fine. Patrick 619-520-0073. I'll put it in the chat for everybody. And here's the key. The key is to figure out the right people, to figure out the right network, so that you guys can start to get the education and understand something that is worthy of your IRA funds, right? I always recommend people.
You're breaking up on us, Patrick.
The asset class, but also,
Yeah, you go.
Can you hear me now? Okay.
Yes, you're back.
Oh yeah. So rainy weather, my connection gets unstable around here too. But I would just recommend, looking at something that is secure, right? That does have some collateral to take back if things go awry and those kinds of things, so that you can sleep at night and knowing that your retirement will be a secure retirement when you're in your golden years, right? So as though I'm not getting investment advice, it's for education purposes only, but I'm just saying, look, I mean, I'm not going to go and take my retirement account money and try to go on the next, crypto coin,
Right.
Dogecoin move or something, guys, because it's just, look, you have too much risk involved to not have any money when you really need it in your older years. So that's why we recommend going to noteinvestoruniversity.com, checking out our mastermind group. Remember, text Desi at 951-551-0087. Just text him your name and email address. We'll get you on a Saturday mastermind call for free. We want you to be able to check out our community, right? But it's about bringing together a community of people that understand a piece of financial intelligence that is not widely known in the rest of the public. And it gives you an advantage to know that you can own something that's secure, that's off cash flow, steady yield, has collateral, and all those kinds of things. Or even invest with people like Desi or I or other professionals in the industry, but know exactly what we're doing with your money so that you can sleep at night. Okay. And that's what I recommend. And use Directed IRA. They're our go-to. If you're going to self-direct your IRA, they'll help you get that done. And you have direction of your money, and then you can people like us can help you invest that into notes or what have you. And so that's the process.
I even partner with people. If they're nervous, I'll partner with people on notes. Hey, we just do it together. Your first note deal or two, you want to partner? Fine. I mean, I'm an investor. So is Patrick. We're real investors. So, we like to do that and hold people's hands through that whole process. Someone asked, how long does our mastermind last? On Saturday, we go from 8 a.m. Pacific until 8:30 a.m. Pacific until 10 o'clock. It's 90 minutes.
And it's great.
We start on time, we end on time. But you can always leave. It's just a Zoom meeting, right? So if something comes up and you need to go, you can go. You can just bounce, and we record them. So, we can always shoot that out.
Awesome. And again, like Patrick said, if you guys are interested in investing in notes or other alternative investments, that's when you come to us, or prior to. If you really want to self-direct your account and start investing in, these types of investments, learn about the investments. And we told you guys a lot of different resources on where you can do that. The Note Mastermind is a great one. But when you want to self-direct your IRA, there's not a lot of places to go to. And you can't do this in your Fidelity or Charles Schwab account, by the way, guys. They're going to look at you and turn you away and say you can't do it. You got to come to a company like Directed IRA, where we're just going to take your direction and invest your IRA in what you want to invest in. We'll still sign the documents and hold it as the IRA custodian, but we're not going to restrict you from investing in things that the IRS allows us to invest in. And notes and real estate is one of the most common investments and alternatives that people like to hold in their retirement account. If you didn't know, the rich and the wealthy have been doing this type of investing in their retirement accounts for decades. It's just now becoming more popular among the masses because we've got information and technology that's available to us where you could just go online and find these investments, or find people like Patrick and Desi who are doing these investments where decades ago it was just people in the know. People were holding these masterminds, just didn't know about it because it wasn't advertised to the public like it's advertised to the public now. So it's out there, guys. It's not new. It's just maybe new to some of you, and it was new to me in 2012. I switched my whole game when I learned about self-directed IRAs and basically just jumped into the industry because I felt like more people needed to understand at least what their investment options were. Not to sell them on investments, but say, hey, did you know you can invest in this or this or this? And when you do it in a retirement account, you don't pay taxes. And we've got a lot of education online to show you how you can not only buy these investments, but create tax-free income for yourself in retirement, but also pass these assets on in beneficial IRAs that give tax-free income to your future generations, your spouse or your beneficiaries. Guys, this is powerful stuff when you start thinking about all the things that retirement accounts give, and when you start inputting cash flowing, predictable investments in a retirement account, it doesn't disappear when you die. It passes to your heirs, and they get to live tax-free off the income of those retirement assets as well. So powerful, powerful stuff. It's what the rich and the wealthy have been doing for decades. So if you're interested in getting started, contact us at Directed IRA, www.directedira.com. You can even schedule a call with me or one of our IRA specialists if you have more questions about self-directed IRA specifically. And if you want to learn more about note investing, well, Desi and Patrick are the guys. I want to thank you guys for joining us. Apologize for a little technical difficulties there, but we've got a lot of good content, and we'll splice this together and put it out to you guys if you registered for the workshop. So any final thoughts, guys?
We're going to make sure you get the slides for the other case study where Patrick put that together to save a guy's house. I think that's pretty inspiring stuff, and so people should also see that. We'll make sure you guys have that. But I just want to thank you, Nate, for just putting this out there. You're absolutely right. People need to be taking control of their personal financial situation and not leaving it up to Charles Schwab and the other companies. I believe that you guys give people control, and they should take advantage of it. I hope they do. I'd like to see more people get their life under financial control.
Awesome. Patrick, any final words?
Oh gosh, invest in yourself, guys. We're talking about investments here. Invest in yourself. I can't preach it enough. It's the best investment, right? Having knowledge is power. Financial intelligence is what we're speaking about. We preach note investing because of the obvious benefits, right? Of notes as an investment vehicle. But man, invest in yourself. That is number one. Grow yourself. Don't stop learning. Don't stop getting around people that are smarter and know other things you don't know, because the things you don't know can hurt you.
Yeah. And that's a great lead in, because we also say invest in what you know, but I say you could throw that right at the beginning, invest in yourself, and also invest in what you know, and you feel a lot more comfortable in retirement. I give you that. So thank you guys for joining us on another workshop. This has been Directed IRA. If you want to watch more workshops, just go to our YouTube channel. And you guys, again, if you registered for this, you'll get a copy of the recording, and you also get the slides, not only from us, but from Desi and Patrick. And I want to thank you guys again for spending some time with us today. Your time is valuable, so I really appreciate you guys sharing this with everybody.
Good day.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Have a good one, everybody.
Okay.